basically be talking about a few books that I have read, and I will try to remember exactly what they were about. That way you guys can get a little bit of an insight of the book, and if it catches your attention, maybe you can take a read for yourself. But yes, without further ado, let's get right into it. The first book we have is Winter World. This is book 1 of 3. I haven't gotten around to buying the other 2 books, but I will eventually get there because this book is good. Winter World is basically a science fiction book. It basically has to do with like aliens, of course. It mentions aliens. It takes place in space in one part of the book, and then in the other part of the book it takes place on Earth. Basically, the aliens are trying to basically destroy the humans. The aliens build like some type of gadget to stop the sun's rays from hitting Earth. So the aliens are purposely trying to freeze Earth until we, turn into Sub-Zero. But the scientists of around the world all get together and try to basically combat the aliens. That's kind of pretty much what I remember. That's like the main plot, main story. As far as the ending, I thought it ended pretty good, especially for it being for first book. It kind of leaves on a cliffhanger, so that's another reason why I definitely want to get to the next book. But yes, Winter World by A.G. Riddle. I just got done eating homemade burgers, so my stomach wants to talk for some reason. Like, dude, I already fed you, come on. The next few books is pretty much all the same genre, because one thing about me is I love my mystery, I love my thriller, my suspense, my horror, whatever. Look how thick this thing is. Lord. It did take me a while to finish this book, not because I was bored, mainly because I was barely getting into reading again since high school. That's pretty much why it took me a while, but it was a pretty good book. Definitely worth finishing and reading all these pages. But this book is pretty much a detective that is trying to find a serial killer. Now, this detective, she had a father that was also a detective. He was also hunting down a serial killer and made it his obsession to try and find this person. So, eventually the father thought he had caught the guy. He ended up shooting the guy, and everyone thought the serial killer, was done. few years later, after the father's passing, now the daughter is older. She's an adult and a detective, of course. But the killings start again, and she keeps receiving like letters, kind of like playing with her. The killer sends her letters, hinting and giving her clues of where the next kill is going to be. Obviously, she tries to figure it out before it happens, but obviously, she doesn't figure out the clue. So eventually, obviously, she catches the person. I don't even know if I should be telling you guys this. I'm kind of spoiling it, but I hope you guys still read it. It's really good. Next book is The Outsider by Stephen King. That's my boy. It's purposely upside down, of course. Cool fact about this book, they actually made an HBO series about it. I tried watching the show, but I couldn't get into it. I prefer the book, obviously. But this book is basically another thriller, horror mystery. Now this one, I guess you can kind of get into the supernatural genre as well, because it has to do with killings too. Well, actually, just one killing, I believe. The killer ends up killing a little boy in a very gruesome way, and the book gets very detailed with it. So there's like another detective that's obviously trying to figure out who the killer is. The detective ends up arresting a man that he thinks is the killer, but it turns out that he's not. And because they arrested this person in public, everyone else thought that this actually was the killer. Even the family of the victim, they thought that he was the killer also. One of the sons of the guy, the brother of the victim, ends up killing the guy that they had arrested, and of course they got the wrong person, so the brother ended up killing an innocent person, and the brother ends up getting shot also by the police. So it's just like dang, like nobody wins pretty much in this situation. But as the book progresses, it gets really good. Of course, Stephen King is good with that stuff. I can't really remember too much after that because I read it a long time ago. But I think from what I remember towards the end is that they end up tracking the killer down, I think, to like some caverns. They end up finding out it's like a shapeshifter, and that was one of the reasons why it was hard to find this person, because it kept, switching appearances. Really good book. Definitely recommend. Give it a shot. Another book is Lying Next to Me. Greg Olson. This book, it's really good. I loved it also. It has a plot twist, which I love. So this book has, it's a couple, a husband and a wife. I believe they have a kid. I can't remember. But, excuse me. The wife ends up getting killed while on vacation in this cabin area. She gets killed by the lake. The husband pretty much obviously calls the cops, makes it seem like he's innocent. Hint, hint. That's pretty much the most I'll give you, because I'm gonna spoil the rest, and it's a really good book, especially with that plot twist. I'm trying to think and see if I could give you guys any more details without spoiling, because it's a really good book. I want to talk about it more, but it's hard. I guess that's it. I'll read the summary. Adam and Sophia Warner and their 3-year-old daughter are vacationing in Washington State's Hood Canal for Memorial Day weekend. It's the perfect getaway to unplug and to comment on uneasy marriage. But on Adam's first day out on the water, he sees Sophie abducted by a stranger. 100 yards from shore, Adam can't save her, and Sophie disappears. In a nearby cabin is another couple, Christine and Connor Moss. Unfortunately, beyond what they've heard in the news, they're in the dark when it comes to Sophie's disappearance. For Adam, at least there's comfort in knowing that Mason County Detective Lee Huseman is an old friend of his. She'll do everything she can to help. She must. But as Adam's paranoia about his missing wife escalates, Lee puts together the pieces of a puzzle. The lives of the two couples are converging in unpredictable ways, and the picture is unsettling. Lee suspects that not everyone is telling the truth about what they know, or they have yet to reveal all the lies they've hidden from the strangers they married. Good book. Recommend. I'm gonna drink some agua. También hablo español. I love H2O. I got 4 books left. So, the next one is The Big Dark Sky. I'm still reading this one, obviously. This one, from what I have read so far, The Big Dark Sky is basically about this man that has a plan to do, I guess he's trying to get rid of the human race. I still haven't figured out why. I'm trying to get there. But it involves some killings. It can get pretty intense in some parts of the book, of the story. But I don't have too much to say obviously yet, because I'm kind of in the middle so far of the book. But it's interesting. I would, if I had to recommend it, from what I've read so far, I probably would. It's pretty good. Next one would be Hidden Pictures. Hidden Pictures. To my girlfriend, if you're watching, shout out to you. She recommended this book to me, and I'm glad she did. I love it. I just love it so much. I couldn't get my eyes off the book. This book, towards the end, made me tear up a little bit, because it was a really good ending. I loved it. So this book is kind of horror. It basically is about a girl. She's a teenager, I believe. She babysits this boy of this couple, and she basically kind of starts wondering what's wrong with this boy. Something's off. The boy loves drawing, and of course he draws like a little kid, stick figures and such. Nothing too detailed. But eventually, as the story goes on, the boy starts drawing like as a professional artist, and it's like, whoa, like, hold up, how does that even happen? As the story goes on, you end up finding out that, like, I don't want to spoil it. I won't do it. I won't do it to you guys. Read this book. It's so good. I recommend 10 out of 10. Hidden pictures. Let me see if I can find a drawing of the boy. That's just scribble, scrabble. Let me see. So this is a drawing of the little boy. He drew it himself. Pretty creepy. Read the book. Next book, second to last, is Stillhouse Lake. This book is book 1 of 6. I also want to read all those, but I haven't gotten to it. Stillhouse Lake is about a mom and her 2 kids. Kids are like in their teens also. But, I mean, obviously this mom is kick-ass. So basically, she had a husband that was basically married. Obviously, they were married, and he was basically living a lie. I don't think I said that right. You know what I mean, though? He was lying to her the whole time. He ended up being a serial killer. She never knew. And the reason she found out was because a random person crashed into their garage. And that it happens that the husband, the serial killer, did his killings in the garage. And the reason she never knew about it or found out about it was because the husband lied and would always say, hey, I'm going out to the garage, to do my, I guess, like, his little hobbies. And he didn't want to get bothered or disturbed. So she didn't think anything of it. But obviously he was doing his work. The husband ends up going to jail. The wife ends up moving with her kids. And she's basically on the run the whole time because obviously, like, this got out on the news, and she also got arrested because obviously she was like a suspect. But she ended up getting released, and some people thought that she wasn't innocent, so obviously they took it upon themselves to try and get justice. So she kept, moving a lot, changing her name, getting fake IDs, changing the kids' names, changing schools. So she ends up kind of like befriending one of the people that wanted to get justice, because that person ended up, finding out that, like, she is actually innocent. So the wife befriends that person, and that person ends up being like, I guess, like a techie, kind of a hacker, and he helps her whenever she needs help, as far as like changing IDs, getting her address switched, all that stuff. But there's this one place that she moves to. It's at a lake, and they end up finding a body in that lake, and she ends up getting worried because she's like, oh wow, is this my husband's work? Is he out? Long story short, though, she ends up fighting off certain people. She's badass. Man, I can't remember how it ended. I'm sorry, guys, but this is another book I would definitely recommend. Give it a read. You will love it. pure straight up fiction book. This is another book I would definitely recommend as well. I remember this one making me a little teary-eyed as well. I can't remember. But I do remember that it's a really good book, of course. So, I'll read the summary since it's the last book. After the loss of her mother and her own battle with breast cancer, Joanna Teal returns to her graduate research on nesting birds in rural Illinois. Determined to prove that her recent hardships have not broken her, she throws herself into her work from dusk to dawn until her solitary routine is disrupted by the appearance of a mysterious child who shows up at her cabin barefoot and covered in bruises. The girl calls herself Ursa, and she claims to have been sent from the stars to witness 5 miracles. With concerns about the child's home situation, Joe reluctantly agrees to let her stay, just until she learns more about Ursa's past. Joe enlists the help of her reclusive neighbor, Gabriel Nash, to solve the mystery of the charming child. But the more time they spend together, the more questions they have. How does a young girl not only read but understand Shakespeare? Why do good things keep happening in her presence? And why aren't Joe and Gabe checking the missing children's website anymore? Though the three have formed an incredible bond, they know difficult choices must be made. As the summer nears an end and Ursa gets closer to her 5th miracle, her dangerous past closes in. When it finally catches up to them, all of their painful secrets will be forced into the open, and their fates will be left to the stars. Definitely a good book. It's like a feel-good. It's definitely a feel-good book. Sorry, I had to cut some parts off because my roommate's dog kept barking. Luckily, we're at the end of the video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. I will definitely take constructive criticism for, how to make ASMR videos, what I should do, as far as like tips on what kind of tingles I should do. But yeah, I just thought reading and reviewing these books is a good starter video for me. I'll definitely try and come up with the next one and hopefully keep improving. But yes, if you like, I would